Happy New Year, guys. Episode 82 of the Cross Anime. And here in Australia, we are in covered smoke.
And here in the USA, we are covered in sadness.
And snow.
Not at the moment, but it's snowing in my heart.
Well, is it because of the end of 2019? The anime was pretty good in 2019, so you are sad to see it go.
That's a beautiful segue right there. Let's just go with that. Surely I'm not sad for personal reasons. It must be anime related.
Wow.
What are we talking about in terms of anime today?
Yeah, so today is gonna be a special week again for us, which is we're gonna do the top 10 anime of 2019.
Oh my god.
Exciting.
I'm ready.
So I'm Mario, and with me again
Is Wooper.
is Wooper.
Hey, I said that.
Alright, so before we get into our individual top 10, what do you think about the 2019 in anime in general, Wooper?
It was fine. I think I said this last year when we did this episode. Episode 39, in case you're curious. That was the 2018 Anime of the Year episode.
I'm impressed
and I was
remember
asked,
that.
yeah, I was asked the same question. What do you think about 2018? As a year for anime. I don't know. Like, it was a 365-day period in which anime was released.
Alright.
Some of it was good. Some of it was bad. A lot of it was bad. But that's the whole sacrifice that you make when you follow seasonal anime.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fine. I don't know. How about you?
Alright, personally, I prefer this year than 2018. 2018 for me was a very lackluster year. Like my least favorite years in the whole decade. So 2019 it is a big step up compared to last year.
Okay.
Last 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay. I would have thought that you would love 2017. That was the Maiden Abyss, Land of the Lustrous, Rakugo Shinju second core,
Alright.
Sangatsu no Lion second core year. That was a great year.
Well. First, when I mean the last 2 years, I mean 2018. It's 2020 now. And secondly,
I see.
Secondly, I would prefer 2016 more than 2017.
Yeah, I mean 2016 was a great year. You got the first core of the two
Sangatsu?
shows that I just mentioned.
Yep, that's
plus
right.
a bunch of other stuff that I'm forgetting right now, but I do remember being pretty happy with 2016. Ever since
Mob Psycho 100?
Was that yeah, I guess that was 2016. But I don't consider Mob to be like one of the all-time greats. Even though in my blurb for it recently I wrote that it was a modern miracle of animated storytelling. It's just not one of my all-time favorites,
Right. Well, I feel the same, but I'm pretty sure that Mob Psycho 100 is gonna be in both of our top 10 lists. So
what you mean for this year?
For this year.
Probably so, yeah.
Yep. So we'll have more time to talk about Mob Psycho 100 then.
Yeah. I wonder how much I'm going to have to say about all these shows. I wrote like a couple sentences, or a few bullet points.
Yep.
But I watched some of them early on in this year, and some I don't care about that much, even though they're on the top 10 list. Like, it's not as though I feel like all anime is so great, and so the top 10 are like, oh, amazing,
All right. Compared to you, I can say that I enjoy the 10 shows, at least. Before that, though, I think we're gonna mention some honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mention?
I do. Actually, let me pull up that ballot that I was talking about.
Right.
The ballots that we were talking about beforehand. Because I only have on this Word doc here, I only have my top 10. But looking at, okay, well, I mean, my first honorable mention has to be Run with the Wind, the second season, which is not, or the second core, which is not eligible based on our rules. I think, because it
Yep.
began last year. Most people do
So
it the opposite way, but
yep. So just to refresh listener mind, our rules is that all the show have to be debut, have to be first show in 2019 to be considered.
yeah. And I mean that's as good a way to do it as anything else, you know. The way that the demarcation of time that we've settled upon as a race or a species is arbitrary to begin with, you know. So
Yep. Yep.
any rules surrounding time can just, you know, be whatever the hell people want them to be. I don't really care.
Yeah, I think the rule is just meant to be consistency. That's all.
Yeah. So I mean, Run with the Wind would be my. Wait a minute, what the hell? Why? I'm looking at a discrepancy between my list. Oh wait, no, Run with the Wind is allowed.
All right.
Wait, is it? What was the rule? Is that the actual rule that we wanted to settle on? It has to start in 2019.
Yeah, it is like the last time we mentioned that it
Damn it.
is.
Okay, well I have Run with. Oh wow, so this is gonna mean that a very bizarre show that you would not expect to be on my list is gonna that my number 11 pick.
All right.
Is going to be in my top 10. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I don't care. So my honorable mention would be Run with the Wind, the second core. I mean, I was in love with the first half of the show back in 2018. The second half not nearly as great. You know, it has one of the best casts of the year, and you know they were brought closer than ever in the second half by running the Hakone Ekiden together. But I mean, even though a lot of the running animation was impressive, the 3D backgrounds were hideous. The CG runners made me want to die. And the question of like what is running or what does running mean to each of us did not come through completely as each character was, you know, in the final leg of that marathon. You know, for some people it was really resonant, but for others it was just like what was important was the friendships that they had made, the bond that they'd created, and the concept of like what running is didn't really matter for their personal arcs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my honorable mention. I talked too long about it. How about you? You have
All right.
anything?
I have two. So the first one is Kimetsu no Yaiba. Because believe it or not, I always consider that show like a top 10 material. Like until
Right.
Until like the very last few weeks before I have to settle down the top 10. It have a really good animation, a really good productions. I have a feeling that you know that I feel wow of a few times during the battle scenes. The characters though is a bit on the lesser side. So I still alright with the main characters and his sister, but the cast that the supporting cast that come later on, they are really annoying.
Yeah,
So
Zenitsu, the yellow guy,
yeah,
just
and
he's
the other
one of
guy
my
as well.
least favorite. Oh,
Oh my god,
with the pig head or what? You know,
yeah,
the boar
yeah,
mask.
that's right. Oh my
Yeah.
god, they are so annoying. They are like the main reason that put this show down for me.
Yeah, I agree, man. As soon as they were introduced, I also really liked Kimetsu no Yaiba at first. In fact, I was like kicking myself for just discounting it as a standard shonen series because I think the early episodes did some really interesting. There was some really interesting presentation in the early episodes, like
I
stretches
agree.
of silence to open up certain episodes where like his sister has become a demon, and as a result his life has become so much more quiet. Like he wakes up in the morning, there's no sound, his family is gone. All he has to look forward to is a day of like grueling training or traveling, and the show like creates a kind of a mood of like optimism, but like optimism that the main character has struggled to achieve. And that just all disappears in the second half, and it becomes a wacky bunch of bullshit, in my opinion.
Right.
You know,
Well,
obviously the production is the main thing that people love about it. I think.
Yep. I can't blame you for that. I don't know why everyone still, uh, stay for this, like, stay behind this guy. I just, uh, they just a breaking point for me, basically.
Yeah.
The other show on my honorable mention is Clash of the Immortals,
Okay.
or Mugen no Chunin. The reason is, although that I enjoy the episodes every single week, it's still that I more like respect the show, like the direction of the show, more than outright loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could and the character as well is not as strong. Like I don't really much remember like especially the two main characters. I don't really much like, at the end of the day. I don't remember much about them except
Yeah, it's because
for
Hamasaki
the
is
quest
like sprinting through the
material.
story.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. That's right.
The characters are just, they're they're there.
Mhm.
They're on screen.
They
What are
feel
they
more
doing?
like a service
Oh,
of
I
the
forget.
plot. Yeah, well, they have the quest. They're going on the quest.
They do. They are.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's also my that would be an honorable mention for me as well because I think the show, I think the background art is amazing. Um, the action is usually not great, but in more recent episodes, I think it's started to settle down a bit. Become a bit more traditional, a little bit more appreciable instead of the super rapid cuts and like weird
Fit out
flash.
colors.
Yeah, the bizarre color choices,
Yep, yep.
like the really sometimes like everything is blue. Like when you invert the color red of blood,
Mhm.
in order to censor it. In some series, I think Tokyo Ghoul did this a long time ago. You get like this aqua blue, this really light turquoise-ish blue. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just the fight animation and the presentation of it was not great until recently. I think now it's a little better.
All right.
So there's some really good standalone episodes.
Yep. I
The
agree.
one where Rin lies to the border, the border guards, the gate, the people at the gate. Some of the ones about the members of the Ito Ryu.
Mhm.
But there's some real messed up, super fast, hard to keep track of episodes in there as well.
Yep. I haven't seen the latest episode though, so
Okay. Well, I won't
Hof-
say anything about it.
all right. All right. All right. Now let's get to the top 10, shall we?
Okay, sure.
All right. I will start first with my number 10.
Go for it.
That would be High Score Girl 2.
Okay.
This is the show. Actually, like High Score Girl is at the strength of the two season, not as like the second season. Um, this is the show where I think they nail it on both of looking back at the arcade games culture, and also telling like a coming of age romance story between the cast, and the cast are like the main strength for me. They are all adorable. They are all like multi dimensional, and everyone just fit well to the story. I feel like all the characters are really adorable, and you know yep, that's it.
Okay, it's adorable. That's what I got from that. It's an adorable show.
It's a
It was
well,
only the second season that aired in 2019, right?
yeah, that's right. Oh, so the second season and there's like the 3 episode OVA that come before it.
That was also this year.
That also this year.
I guess. Oh, okay. That kind of explains to me why the second season had that weird 9 episode
Yeah, that's right.
length, because I guess the OVA is just the first third of that, and it had a strange release schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. Well,
All
I
right,
mean,
wait.
High Score Girl. I finished the manga recently, and I mean, it's a fun story, you know. So I haven't seen the anime. I kind of doubt that I ever will now that I've read it in some other form. But you know, I guess I approve because the manga's pretty good. I'm one of
Um,
those. I'm one of those people.
Yep. All right. I would say that the anime, like the presentation, can be a bit off-putting at first, but like after 2 or 3 episodes, you get used to it. You actually it has like some of the unique charm from the awkward CG animation. I like it.
Okay. Cool. All right.
All
Am I
right.
gonna
What
do
is
my
your
number
number
10
10?
or? All right. I guess I will. Here we go. My number
All right.
10 is Fire Force.
Wow. All right.
So Fire Force, obviously, it's a it's a big loud shonen series with a lot of characters that I don't really care for.
Mm-hmm.
But the a lot of the background art is very good, especially in the second half. Like
Mm-hmm.
it has kind of a weird like artificial quality to it. You know how in Shaft series, the characters often like don't totally blend in with the backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll be Kagenashi shaded, like they'll all be kind of there'll be one level of like grayness kind of imposed on all the characters that sets them apart from the background that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Force does that pretty often, and it lets you focus on the background art mostly, and it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it creates a really interesting sense of place. You know, the world where they're living, which is set in whatever the solar era. And they're like the main character's home base is like a burned out cathedral that they've modified. There are some shots at the city that like you just see a bunch of roofs of houses that stretch on forever, giving it kind of like even though it's so tightly populated and in this one small area, it feels kind of desolate because you don't see any of the streets or people in it. I just really like a lot of the background choices that they made, and the fight scenes are really. I think the fight scenes are really something to look at. Not so much in the arc where they try to discover who's the traitor in Division 1, which is I think one of the last things that we saw when we were covering this series.
Yeah.
But some of the fight scenes against the white clad people, I don't know if you remember the people in the white robes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. They become like they move to the forefront of the story in the second half, and they have a lot of cool powers, and that's pretty neat.
All right.
uh,
Yeah, go on. Go on.
what
No, go on. Go on.
the final episode in particular has like a fight that like blew my mind. Some of the animation like exploded my brain out from my ears. So that was neat.
All right.
And the relationship between the main character and his brother at the very end became very interesting. Not just because the brother was like a villain
Yep.
and was conflicted about it, but because of the way it was presented visually. Like the two of them have an ability to access this other dimension, this other plane of reality, which is like what we know as what humanity knows as hell. Really exists in Fire Force, and it is a place that fire users of a certain caliber can cross over into.
Cool.
And the way that the show explores that concept and presents it visually is really interesting. So, that Fire Force had enough going for it that I guess it's on this list because Run with the Wind can't be.
All right. So that I might give the second core a chance sometimes to
I
see
mean, if
like.
you really didn't like the first one, I don't think I don't think I would recommend it.
All right.
Um,
One question for me though. I'm not really is that I don't enjoy it. I just find the whole thing very silly. I just had one question for you though. Uh,
yeah,
how is the cat girl? How about her? Is she
I
getting
mean,
any better?
no, she just continues to hardly ever appear in the series, and so all the the cries of, well, there's too much fan service, that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years, however long that's been a problem that Americans have had with anime because it doesn't sit right with them. She barely pops up, so when she does, I'm just like, uh, this is pretty dumb, and I don't get a lot of satisfaction out of watching her be, like
Harassed.
tripping over people and falling face first into their laps and stuff.
Yep.
But I understand that anime has some weird kinks and quirks and things,
Mhm.
and it's not as though she was a main character. There were some episodes where she didn't pop up at all.
Right, right. All
I don't get
right.
bogged down in the whole fan service thing
Yeah.
usually,
Uh,
especially not for shonen series, which are like this show is for 12-year-old boys,
mhm, mhm.
and it's my number 10 of the year.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick for sure. All right. My number nine is Kaguya-sama wa Kokura Setai.
Yes, indeed. Okay.
Um, it's a comedy show, and I love how like how the two main characters just keep playing mind games each others. That create the chemistry between them. Um, not only them, but like the two other members of the main cast are interesting in their own way. Um, there, I also feel like there's a lot of love from the staff from the studio to make the show. And I think the story it's a gag story, but it have like an act and it close off the whole story in a satisfying way. So there might be a sequel, but if it ended here, I would be very happy.
There's going to be a sequel.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, they've announced it. I think it's a spring series. Could be
It's
summer
yeah. I just know that's next year. Not sure
this
when
year,
though. Oh yeah, this year.
2020.
Forgive me, guys.
No.
I'm still stuck in the past.
All right. Anything else about Kaguya-sama?
I know that you're gonna say more about it when it's your turn. So
Okay. So I'll wait until it
yep,
pops up on my list.
yep. Let's do that.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. My number 9 pick is Aggressive Retsuko season 2.
Oh, right.
So this was a small step down from the first season. The two of the main stories in this one were Anai and Tadano. The story Anai is, just as a refresher, Anai is the new hire at the company who assumes that everyone is like trying to harass him, and
Yep.
he's just non-compliant and won't do what people want, and like threatens them and stuff. And Tadano is the donkey that she meets at her driver's ed classes,
Mm-hmm.
and they like start going out, and it turns out he's some kind of tech billionaire. He's like the
Yep.
Elon Musk of Agretsuko.
Right. Yep.
So those stories were like occasionally aggravating, but I think they both finished really strong. Like the way that Anai made himself useful at the yakisoba stand during an event that the company was putting on, I thought was a good way to resolve his whole like character arc of belligerence by finding out a way that he could be helpful. And the Tadano thing, like the way that Retsuko makes her feelings about their relationship clear through that death metal karaoke scene at the end in the last episode, I thought that was really good. The main thing that I loved about this season was everything to do with Retsuko's mom. When she randomly showed up at her apartment to clean, and how she was setting up marriage interviews and stuff. I thought that was a really fun and effective way of kind of moving Retsuko's life in a particular direction, like giving the season itself some direction. A little bit more focus on romance. There was kind of like a reckoning whenever her mother would show up. She would, be put into a mode of, I guess it's that time. It's time for me to be thinking about romance and about love and about marriage and stuff like that. So Retsuko's mom was like a godsend in terms of a character to get things on track. It's more Retsuko, so that's good.
I do agree that I find the second season a bit less than the first one. Actually, like my favorite episode of Aggressive Retsuko is the one about Christmas. So the OVA, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing, that episode. I felt like the first half about Anai is a bit they handle a bit too quickly. That's what I think.
Too quickly.
Like he become a threat of everyone. Like he would send text message to everyone, and then he being kind of ignored by the story standard until like later on, like the next few episodes, like it just seemed like everyone just forget about him.
Yeah, well, the show kind of forgets about him because it moves on to the whole romance subplot, but he still appears, and he's just not dominating the script anymore because he's not a psychopath anymore. I mean, maybe he still is, but
he still is.
Yeah, his psychopathy is not the focus anymore because he's figured out a way to exist in this company, with everyone as opposed to in conflict with everyone.
I still really like Asuko's note. She's really relatable.
Sure. All right, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Araburu Kisetsu no Otome no Moyo.
All right.
It's about a bunch of high school girls being awkward about sex. And I remember like the first few episodes we feel really enthusiastic about the show until like it dropped in quality and some annoyance of characters are putting you off.
Yeah, I still have not finished it.
Yeah. I think the show have like more of like a movie structure than like a regular one core show. They have like a clear middle, beginning, middle, and climax. And like I just said, like some relationship are worse than the others, but I'm glad that the show, looking at different chemistry, different story about love, and how the hero process their thinking of love, and also the sexual tensions to the opposite sex. So it not quite finished as I would hope it is, but as a whole, Araburu is still something that I still I still fun it out.
You still what?
Fun. I
Fond
still,
of.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, good. I don't really have anything to say about Maidens in your Savage season.
Yep.
Uh,
All right.
So-
What episode that you drop off?
6.
All right.
The middle
so
point.
you- Mhm.
Right after the main character passed out in the bath because she
Yeah,
stayed in
yeah.
there too long because she was afraid to expose herself because her friend had bigger boobs than she did.
That is relatable. That is how how 14 years old girl would think and would do in that situation.
First of all, probably not. Second of all, the show's handling of it just made me want to barf.
Yep, I can see why. I can see why.
Like to me, that is way more annoying than some cat girl showing up here and there, reminding me that I'm watching a show for 12-year-olds.
All right,
But
what is your
anyway,
number eight?
my number 8 is Kanata no Astra,
Wow.
which I watched long after you did. I think you were
Yep.
blogging it,
Yep.
though I don't think you ever I don't know what your final thoughts on the series are because I don't think you made the final
Yep.
series
I
review.
did. Yep.
But I ended up really enjoying it after hating the first episode.
Mhm.
The thing I love most about it is the soundtrack.
Oh.
There's a wide variety of. I mean, it's all like pop music based. There are like some big orchestral tracks, but most of it is like piano or especially some of the synth lines. Tell me if you can remember this. I'm gonna like hum a little bit. Dun 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 dun
All
dun.
right. I think I
Do you
do.
remember?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that specific synth like run up is burned into my brain because of the moments when they played it when the characters were like on the cusp of discovering something like really earth shattering about their trip through space or about themselves, something like that. It was really urgent, and I think the soundtrack really accented the story's kind of ridiculous twisted turns really well. So that's good. Like the characters themselves, like their whole bonding process as they went through space was kind of convenient, I thought. One of us is trying to sabotage and kill all the others, but let's all be friends anyway. Let's just forget about that and all be buddies. I mean, the show explains it away relatively successfully, but that's still kind of dumb. But I think the larger story of the character's survival and the way that they overlook the fact that there's a saboteur on board doesn't quite work. But I think the moment to moment interactions between them on these different planets that they visit and the individual connections they make between one another are pretty good. I think it's those smaller moments that justify the show's eventual conclusion, where everyone survives and they're all friends, and there's a very happy and positive ending for the series, even though it was set to be so difficult. I think that's justified by the friendships the characters made with each other. And mostly, like if you set aside the soundtrack, the thing that I like most about it is all the twists and all the cliffhangers at the end of a bunch of the episodes, especially in the second half. One episode they find out, spoilers for Kanata no Astra, I guess. One episode they find out that there's a killer on board, or there's somebody trying to sabotage them on board, and then in another episode they find this woman who's in a she's been cryogenically frozen in another ship that's crash landed on a planet where they are. And then another episode, they find out that there are clones. And then another episode, they find out that Earth is like not real. And they're after a certain point in history, like everyone got migrated to another planet through wormholes. It's like it's insane. And
Right.
I was just eating it all up as I was watching. Like, what are they going to do next? So Kanata no Astra has that sort of appeal for me.
Yep. All right. I have a lot of feeling about Katana no Astra. First of all, I feel that the biggest strength of Katana no Astra is the twists and turns, because the twists are unexpected, but it's justified. It's come from like everything the show have built up before, all the twists, like most of them basically. Secondly, I feel like the first episode and the last one, which are both double length, are the show weakest. The pacing is all over the place. I just I feel like the ending just doesn't work for me. It just keep jumping off the time. So like from when they get back, I think like the last episode they still have like another planet to visit, until like at the end of that episode they are like an adult. It's like how many
Right. Yeah.
time
There's a time
how
skip.
many years have passed. It's a lot of time skip within the episodes. Um, what else? I feel like the show when it tried in to be like a sci-fi, it worked, or even mystery, it's worked. But when it tried to be just like an anime, it's it failed very badly. Like some of the characters just act the way like only anime's character does. Oh, why you come to the bathroom while I'm not getting dressed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Crazy.
anime does that.
Baka, baka.
Yeah.
I just hate that. I just hate that. Oh my god. So
Yeah.
like
I'm not fond of it either.
I'm not I'm not fond of any of the characters.
Ah, okay. I am.
Yep. Well, I think that my big issue with the show. I feel like they are phony. I
Yeah.
don't feel the chemistry are that strong. And yeah, but I like the twist. I like all these all the things that the show like have um it's just good. It's just good. It just unexpected.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, let's go with my number seven,
Okay.
which is another show from space. It's Legion of the Galactic Heroes, the second season.
Okay.
So it actually not the season that I'm talking about, but it's like the combination of three movies. And while watching the and then like at the end they screen that like week by week. I think that's worked by Amazon,
Yeah, it was
and
12 episodes.
it
You
was
know,
12 episodes.
They did them 1 week
Yep.
at a time. They weren't really movies. You know, that was just a marketing thing, it seems.
That is exactly right, because when I watch it, I feel like the pacing is more like for the whole core, not like for the three movies. Um, so it gets to the point where a bit of spoiler alert, the ginger eye. So you know where the story is.
Kirky Ice. Yeah.
Yeah, I just regard him as the ginger.
Ah,
So
okay.
that where that so that where the story stop. But it so this in this second core, it's about like the two sides have to deal with their civil war, and coup d'etat, uprising. And for me, so it's not like they fighting against each other, but like they fighting uh, to prove themselves first. So I think that's an interesting take, and like every like the two main characters have like a lot of space to grow. I heard that the 2018 2019 version doesn't really does a good job for Rehat. I disagree on that though. I think he's a fantastic.
How can you disagree when you haven't seen the OVA?
I will try to. Oh well, I this. All right, my stand is that can still see him as a very well written characters even in this version.
Hmm.
I can see like all the goal he's trying to do. I see all the struggling that he has. So, so yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's like a fantastic character for me. So I wonder like if
It's
what
all
I
about
feel.
Yang, baby. Yang the
Yeah,
best.
I prefer Yang as well, but you know, so I would love to see like how the OVA handle him, because from what I heard, the OVA does a lot of interesting tech from his characters.
The OVA is legendary.
Oh,
The word legend is in the name.
it's 110 episodes.
Yeah, but it's like watching 110 episodes that are really good. It's not like watching 110 episodes so you can say, "Oh, I've seen Legend of the Galactic Heroes." No, you watch it and then you're like, "Wow, this is this is really good." Next episode, next episode, next episode, and then you've seen it.
Yep.
You know, within a month or something.
They actually toned down a bit about the relation, the romance between him and Ginger though. I don't know if the OVA they go how they approach that, but here it's not obvious.
They're not gay.
And they
No, I mean you might have gotten that impression from the reboot because they're all like Bishonen characters.
yeah
But no, they're not. I mean, there is a lot of subtext, you know, that you can interpret as especially as Reinhardt, like being in love with Kierkegaard.
yep
You know, but that never that never happens. Not in
he
the
died.
original, and
All right, he died before any of this can happen.
I mean, it may be, man. Maybe. Well, I mean, I guess I should clarify by saying just whether or not someone is in a gay relationship doesn't change whether or not they're gay. Like, that's about who you're attracted to. You know.
Yep.
So, at the point in the story where you're at, you could be under the impression that Reinhardt is gay. But you would be wrong. I guess.
All right. I could see though that the death of his friend take a large impact to him, and maybe
Yeah,
change
I mean, it turned him straight.
the person he is. Yeah. You're right.
Well, like
you're
I
right.
mean, my the love of my life is dead. I guess I like women now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
Legend of the Kierkegaard's dying is the moment in the
turning
original
point.
OVA where where you're like, do you remember? Have you seen Vinland Saga? Have you seen the whole
Yeah,
thing?
I have. Yep.
Okay. You know how at the episode 24 of Vinland Saga is titled "End of the Prologue"?
Yep. Yep.
That's what it's like in Legend of the Galactic Heroes when Kierkegaard
Oh.
dies.
Yep.
End of the prologue. Now we're on a course, like a crash course where Reinhardt and Yang are going to become like, they're going to ascend within their respective, empires or governments, and eventually get set on a course towards one another.
Yep. I'm really looking forward to this story. I think the story is really well told in the person. Don't know if so yeah, I will want to try to finish this version first before I will get to the OVA. But God know how long that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just watch the OVA. But it is long, and there's so much other anime to watch.
Right. All right. What is next on your list?
All right. My number 7 is Given. The music, romance, drama, comedy from, what was it, the summer season?
Yep.
I think that's right. This show, I'm gonna move a little faster because mine have been taking too long. I think this show has the best integration of humor in a primarily dramatic series of the year. So there's plenty of funny reactions that the characters have to each other's really like dumb obvious statements or silly personality traits. So they play off each other really well, is what I'm saying, to comedic effect as well as for dramatic effect. The main cast they were conflicted, they were depressed, they were lovesick, and they were also humorous. So that we got a nice full picture of each of them. Even though it's the main two who really drive the story. There's a musical number in episode 9 that is one of the best scenes of the year, in my opinion. It's like the culmination of all the heartbreak and the heartache and the trepidation and the joy of everything that's come before it. The show makes itself like really clear, whereas before it had been kind of like dragging its feet a little bit, and that's the one issue that I do have with the series, is that some of the middle episodes really drag on because there are endless scenes of Mafuyu, the redhead who's depressed, just like wandering the city. They go on for far too long. They distract from what's going on with all the other characters, and they suck. But the beginning of the show, I think, is really strong, and the ending, I think, is really good. So you have to get through Mafuyu's like depression and just his wandering around town, feeling sad about his ex-boyfriend, who something terrible happened to.
I think he commits suicide.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Right. Sorry.
No big deal. You have to get past that in order for the breakthrough of episode 9 to be like, oh my god, like this is what he had inside of him the whole time. The show could have done a better job, hinting at that passion during the middle part. But I think the reward at the end was worth it. And there's a movie coming out next year, and I'm really looking forward to that because what the show can do with a slightly higher budget, perhaps, it would be nice to see.
All right, I think I stopped like halfway point, but I remember like the moment I find out that Mafuru's ex-boyfriend has passed away. If left an impact to me, the character himself, Mafuru, I don't feel he has good characters. He just like mopping on the town. He's not a good character to follow. The other guy though, he actually pretty great. He's like
the blue-haired guy.
Yeah, he carried the whole story for me. I find that the bandmates, their romance a bit distracting.
Well, they're like the coolest part of the show.
Well, that I just
love
feel
them.
like they're just patting out a bit too much on their romance, but who am I to say? This is one of the shows that I'm meant to finish it before the like someday.
Yeah.
So I will try to do that someday.
All right. Yeah, I mean episode 9's pretty good. So if you dropped it like 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere in there in the middle, it's a Neue Tamina show, so it's only 11 episodes. So like push through to episode 9, and if you think episode 9 is not worth it, then you can just be like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and just drop it right there.
Well, I know you, Wooper. I know sometimes you don't know what you're talking about.
Or do you? Or do you know me?
All right, let's go with number 6. My number 6 is Vinland Saga. We just mentioned that.
Okay.
It does feel like a prologue of like something much bigger. I a bit sad to see that Astra died because I think he's the most interesting characters out of the cast. I don't think that Thorfinn is in the in the right mind right now. So he just he just lost. I just don't want to see him getting lost like that for another few episodes. Hopefully he get better soon.
Yeah.
The story itself is huge. It's epic. I think that implies the name, the Vinland Saga. And I think that the production side, apart from a few awkward CG, I think they does a pretty good job.
Certainly better than something like Berserk 2016.
That is exactly right. Well,
But is good enough good enough?
when you
That's the
compare
question.
any show to Berserk 2016, is it's all it's the same answer.
Yeah,
It
but
feel
I
like
mean,
the shun.
yeah, but like I mean, in terms of historical or fantasy epics, you
Yep,
know,
yep. This show
this one
compare
like
a lot with Berserk as well.
yeah, I mean, but there is a legitimate comparison to be made in terms of their stories and their settings and all
Mhm.
that. It's not just like, well, at least it's not Berserk. Like this could have been Berserk 2016,
Mhm.
as opposed to a lot of other shows where it's just like, oh, well, this looks bad compared to Berserk.
Yep.
Uh, this this could have Vinland Saga could have looked so much uglier than it did, and yet,
Mhm.
and yet,
And yet
the
it.
well, I'll get to that in a second.
All right. All right. I have one more thing to say. I find
Yeah.
that Prince Canute, the moment of revelation, is a bit. Uh, I can't even put my word into it. I just feel like it's a bit twisted. It's a bit too quick. Like I don't see the whole his reason being like from that moment on he become like a completely different person, and I don't see the transformation basically. So
Right.
yep. All right, that's about it for me. I still think that it is a very good big story that worth telling. So I am board on whatever the next season, the next coming season come, whatever, whenever it comes.
All right. Vinland Saga I just finished recently, just a few days ago. Um, this show is not anywhere near my top 10.
All right, wow, that's a surprise.
Uh, I think the production is actually one of the biggest letdowns of 2019.
Hmm.
Um, the use the CG obviously that's immersion breaking and it doesn't look great. The 3D waves and some of the scenes of the boats and those can take you out of the story. So obviously that's the first criticism that's going to be lobbed at the production. But I think there's one element that is way more problematic than that,
Mhm.
and that is the composite. The show just looks to me like a bunch of elements assembled in After Effects, which is
Mhm.
what anime is at this point. It's all done digitally. But I can't even count on my fingers and toes, even if I had like 10 arms and 10 feet. I can't count how many times in a scene there would be some issue with the lighting, or like there would be weird aliasing on the character's line work so that they wouldn't even appear to fit in the scene that they're in, or like just improper foreshortening and characters not appearing the correct size in relation to their position to the camera.
Mhm.
Like, I think the show was composited really badly, and I think we have the director to blame
Mhm.
because he's a 3D guy. He was the 3D director for Attack on Titan, and some other stuff. I think I don't know. He's like a Wit Studio guy recently, and that's the studio that did Vinland Saga. But man, like every episode I was taken out of what was going on because I don't think the show's put together very well. Like, there's plenty of cool animation, in some of the fight scenes, and a lot of the background art is stunning. And the story is pretty good. But the show did not come together for me at all. It was just so disappointing. Thorfinn, like, moving away from the production, I guess, because I like to complain about Vinland Saga's production is a saga of nitpicks. Like, it's just a whole bunch of individual. This was a problem for me, and this and this and this, and like this support pillar of a bridge that is, like, it goes over the water. I would be complaining about, like, individual planks of wood that just don't appear to descend underneath the water, but just, like, it appears to be one layer over top of another, and you like, I can't believe that there's any sense of depth there. It would just be small, like, impossible, like, really stuff that's hard to talk about, because you would need a visual, is what I'm saying. Anyway, also I was let down by the character arcs. Yeah, the whole thing with Canute, like, that honestly reminded me of Phospholite from Land of the Lustrous, and how everyone was, like, pooping themselves over how great her character arc was. It was the same for Canute. Somebody dies, and their entire character is turned on its head, unjustifiably, just ridiculously. Like, Canute turning into the ultimate strategist, is that a word? Strategist, and badass and leader, just makes no fucking sense. Thorfinn just being, like, for 24 episodes, it just got tiresome after a while. Like, okay, I'm done. I can't keep talking about Vinland Saga. It was one of the two most overrated anime series of this year, in my opinion.
What is the other one?
We're gonna talk about it later on.
All right. I think I know which one you.
Yeah, but honestly, the second one that I'm talking about, I will not complain about the way that I did about Vinland Saga.
All right.
Partly because we've already covered it, recently, and part of it because I was not as disappointed by that show as I was by Vinland Saga.
All right. I will disagree on you on first.
I knew you would, but that's just because she's like your waifu.
Well, she's
Gotcha.
not sexual. She's not sexual for one thing, so she's not gonna be
that is
my
an
wife.
excuse. Not on your part. That's an excuse on the author's part to be like, oh my god, like, I'm drawing all these female characters who all have the exact same proportions. But wait, they're rocks, so they have no gender.
Yeah,
that's just silly.
All right, they have no sexual parts.
All right,
so
whatever you want to say, it's gem waifus of the manga.
All right. Apart from that, though, it's interesting that you feel like the whole production is just a failure, because I can see that in like one or two scenes. I hardly notice it like on the other parts, but I can see your point.
I actually have a folder of screenshots that I took.
That would be interesting. If you can, send me those.
Sure.
All right. Because of the time, I think we need to move on to the next shows. So my number 5. So we just finished the bottom half. Just so.
I didn't even talk about my number 6.
Sorry, go on with number 6. Sorry.
I'm gonna be really fast because I know this is probably on your list. My number 6 is Mix.
Right.
Some of the best written scripts of the year. I think that's its main strength. Really good cast. Although it's not quite as wide as something like Run with the Wind or Chihayafuru. Mix's cast has a lot of good background players in it who can contribute when they need to, but it is focused on like a core group of people. I think its handling of death and grief were like A+. emotional when the characters got down to thinking about it. Like especially I can remember the scene between what are their names?
All right. The brother and sisters.
Toma, and
Yep.
what's his stepsister's name? Otomi. The scene between Toma and Otomi when he discovers her like late at night, she's sitting out in the hallway in the house, and she's thinking about the fact that she didn't have the chance to properly mourn her father's passing because she was too young.
Mhm.
The way that those two connect in that moment because of the history that he has with his own mother, it's really, really, really strong. The way the characters come together in those sorts of moments is really good. And I mean, I guess the last thing I'll say is that it's not very visually impressive, but it's mostly the writing that carries it,
Yep.
in my opinion.
All right, let's get to my number 5 because
All right.
my number 5 is also mixed.
Okay.
Agree with you on a lot of things, especially the characters. I think the 4 characters make the show for me. Like all their conversation, all their remark, their exchanges are top notch. Like every moment, just like sparkle for me. Like Kira.
Kira Kira.
Have you seen Asteroid? Kurusuke Asteroid? You know what that means?
Koisuru
Kira.
Asteroid? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, the visual is on the average side, but it's just vintage energy for me. So I'm alright with that. Yeah, I don't really, but yet the grief thing that you're talking about, I think it's just like a very small portion of the show. I think cross game does the grief better than mix.
Oh, well, I mean, Cross Game does grief better than pretty much any anime
Yeah,
that exists.
yeah, that's true. So everything pale compared to mix, compared to cross game. Um,
I mean, Mix wasn't like a super depressing sadness fest where the characters are like constantly bemoaning their terrible family situations. They adapt and
yep,
they mask it with they keep their lives busy, and they make wisecracks to each other, and
yep,
the way that people do, they hide that pain. And I mean, it's true that it doesn't surface very often in the story, but when it does, you understand that these characters are dealing with something that it's really difficult for kids to wrap their mind around.
yep,
The flashbacks to Toma acting really crazy and silly at his mother's funeral.
yep.
And then you would cut to the present, and you would see that the way that he handles adversity in the present is kind of informed by the way he hasn't totally processed things,
Yeah,
or the
that's
way
true.
that he didn't in the past. That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of writing where I'm like, oh, this person is real.
Yeah.
Like this could be a real person.
The character writing in particular is just the best. I think the best of this year. I love all of them. I even shipping the romance between the brother and his stepsisters.
I remember when we first started watching, I was hinting that was going to happen, based on my
I
knowledge of Adachi, and you were like, I don't know, I don't like that,
I think it's
which is
gonna
fair.
happen. Yeah, well, well, the thing is, I love the boy, I love the girl, I love them being together. So regardless of they are actual brother or not.
Bring on the incest.
We haven't mentioned the baseball. The baseball is handled all right.
I would say it's kind of meh.
I still enjoy it. I still enjoy
It's
the
okay.
whole thing. Like even how they build up the team. I enjoy the whole thing. So like mix is something that I know that when I have time in the future, I want to sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm gonna put mix on and just spend my whole day, whole time, whole week watching it.
Yeah,
All right.
it's good. It's a good
Yeah,
one.
is that good? Is that good? All right. So what is your number 5, Wooper?
Mob Psycho 100,
Hmm.
season 2. This
Gotcha.
is just on my people like to talk about how Mob's character is really really kind-hearted despite how powerful he is, and how Reagan's character is so interesting and complex because he's a con man, but he's also looking after this kid, and then you know some of the side characters, particularly Serizawa, the shut-in who is quote unquote rescued by like the supervillain who recruits him by giving him purpose. Like all the characters have something interesting about their story that you might not see anywhere else, and as a result, I think people have latched onto that and been like, "Oh man, this story really has a thesis, about like what it means to be kind to one another." But as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't really matter because the animation is the reason you watch this series. It looks insane. The depiction of like mental warfare between espers looks like nothing else that I have ever seen, despite having seen like hundreds of anime series. Sakuga all over the place. Amazing like translation of the manga's art style into animated form, like probably the best I've ever seen. Shows just crazy, like the Bones anime studio of the year all years. That's pretty much all I have to say about Mob Psycho. Is it looks really good.
Do you reckon? Would you put Bones as like the anime studio of a decade?
I don't know. For that I would have to really look through a bunch of catalogs, but
Mm.
probably. I mean, it wouldn't be Madhouse, I don't think, because Madhouse fell off towards the end, and I think
Yeah.
I mean, most of Madhouse's best work was done before the new millennium, even
Well,
on films.
they did
Um,
put some very good stuff in the beginning of this decade, like Tatami Galaxy, Hunter x Hunter,
oh, that's true.
Madhouse.
Yeah, they're definitely legends for Hunter x Hunter.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, I think it would probably be Bones. I don't know. It is. I have no idea.
Right. I agree
What's your
that
number 5? Sorry, go
the
ahead.
I agree that the production is just insane. The uh the animations, Sakura all over the places. You said all that. I still enjoy the character as well. Mob. A lot of the characters. They sometimes they have like some really smart dialogue. Sometimes they have like some really relatable struggling, especially Mob, and I think that he grow a lot in this second season. I enjoyed the first half much more than the second half. The second half is more of a typical shonen show, which
Yeah,
I don't think work is Mob Psycho 100 at its best.
I mean, yeah. For me, the best episodes of Mob Psycho are the first half of the first season.
For me, it's the first half of the second season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Mob when it's in that mode is untouchable. Like
Yeah.
when it is really digging into the characters by having them solve, what's the name of Reagan's firm? Spirits and Such Consultation, something like that. When they're
Yeah.
solving those individual cases that are like kind of tailored to what point the story wants to make about Mob's character or about humanity in general.
Mm.
Then the show's functioning, on all cylinders. When it gets into Mob just fighting everybody and everybody else fighting everybody else, then it kind of gets lost. I feel,
Yep. All
but
right.
it looks good doing it, even though it drives completely off the road and ends up in the middle of nowhere. The scenery is beautiful.
Yep, that's true. Mob Psycho 100 is number 2, second season. Is also my number 4 pick of anime of 2019.
Okay.
So that's got me handy.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have anything
So
else to say about it, or should we go to my number 4?
yeah, let's just go with your number 4.
All right, my number 4 is Sarazanmai,
All right.
which has the best background art of the year, no question. I can still picture the scene where the episode where they go to the amusement park,
Yep.
and like the way that the amusement park is depicted in layers, like as though it were animated in the Cell era, and like the literal sheets, hand painted sheets of background design were laid over top of one another. It's like a cake. It's like a beautiful multi-tiered cake. I don't know what I'm saying. The background art's really good, and it looks even though it's painted digitally and all that, it looks very traditional. It has tons of detail packed into every frame. Also, the animation's very good, especially the memory leak scenes where the three boys, like, they regain their human form after eating the shirikodama, and they go through that wave tunnel.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh man, I can picture that whole scene in my head. The animation's crazy. The way that background of that like the blues and purples swirling around in that cylinder, like that tunnel of water that they go through, the way that is animated is fantastic. The musical numbers in the show, the between the two cops, those are awesome. Its fixation on like anal, it's anal fixation in general, like the shirikodama appearing from the ass is and like a bunch of, I think there are other plots, because like the first half of the season, or of the series, like the different kappa zombies have different like fixations that cause them to steal things from like the real world, depending on who they were in life or the way they died. So the series was like, it was anally fixated. It was fixated on, wasn't there one where like the guy was obsessed with bath water or something?
The
Because
bath water from a girl he loved, I think.
Yeah, and as a result, he was stealing. I can't remember what he was stealing, like rubber duckies or something from people's baths. I can't remember, but the all the different kappa zombies and all the different fixations that the show had, and that it was making a statement about how we're all fixated on like different small things, rather than like truly forming like long-lasting relationships with people. The kappa zombies were like fixated on just something about their relationship with the person, that they got obsessed with, rather than the individual, which is why they were the villains, I suppose. So I think the show was really interesting thematically as well as visually, but then as it went on, I think towards the end it kind of fell off a little bit, and I wasn't totally happy with the last episode. But that's nothing new for Ikuhara. He's an idea guy. And Sarazanmai had lots of great ideas, and that's why it's number 4 on my list.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna say more about Sarazanmai when it's come the time for me to say it. So I will get into my number 3 then.
Okay.
It's so the third favorite show of 2019 on my list is Chihayafuru number 3.
Okay.
It's just halfway done, Chihayafuru, but it just the show like hitting all the, like, firing all the cylinders now. It's come in full force. All the characters that we love is except for Chihara, with making one stupid mistake, and still hasn't recovered since then. The show give this season give a really good focus on Taichi.
Does it?
Yes, he did. Like this season has a lot more focus on him, for one thing. And this season also like was one of the great new characters that both she both our favorite.
Yeah, Inokuma.
Yep. So I think that story wise it isn't. I think they go through all the match rather quickly this season, which serve as both good and bad thing. The good thing is it's moved the story forward much quicker than say the second season. The
Oh.
bad thing is it doesn't leave that much of the impact on me like for previous seasons.
That's bad.
But well, it's not that much. It's just I think they would save the best for last though because this season I think we're gonna see the king's match and the queen match. That's gonna be like I'm happy for it to eat up like 2 3 even the whole season for me.
I mean, maybe it will, but I kind of doubt it. I wonder if they're
Yeah.
trying to use this season to wrap up the entire thing because the manga's supposed to be ending soon.
Yep.
And I've read a little bit in the manga, but I'm not far enough along to know. Like I've read beyond this point in the manga, but I'm not far enough to know if that's even possible. Yeah, but I mean, I agree. I hope that they really bring out the big guns, I suppose, or take their time with the Meijin and the Queen matches because
Um,
Shinobu is the best, and
I agree.
we gotta get her on screen, man.
Yep. Yep. Um, do you know like the manga is still ongoing, right?
Yeah, but it's ending soon by multiple accounts.
All right. How far away from this story, like from this current story, until like the uh the part where the manga is on now?
I mean, that's what I was just saying. I haven't read far enough to know.
Yep.
I'm not
Yep.
current.
Yep. Well. Yep.
Um, but I kind of assume it's enough material that it won't finish,
Huh.
and that we'll have to we might have to wait another 6 years for season 4. But I'm down to wait that long. I'll probably still be
Well.
watching anime in 6 years. I don't know.
All right. You are optimistic.
I guess more like really
Yep.
sad that I'm still gonna be watching anime.
Well. Yep. Yeah. I pretty much said all the things I want to say about Chihayafuru.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll be talking about it in a moment, I suppose, just very lightly because you already mentioned a bunch of stuff about it that
Yeah.
I like.
Right.
My number 3 is Kaguya-sama wa Kokorasetai. Um, I think this series has the best voice work of the year, especially from Aoi Koga, who does Kaguya's voice. Like the amount of like superiority that she is able to imbue the character with is crazy. Because she's this rich girl, and she's super smart, and she's really pretty. Everyone thinks that she's like the biggest catch of the school, like the elite school where it's set. And her voice is just perfect for that sort of character. Like the Ojo-sama, who is not only pompous but like has the smarts and the looks to back it up. That makes the whole show the way that the characters are voiced, not just her, but also, the president, who is like constantly caught off. He's a strategic genius, so he's always plotting, and he's got kind of a devious edge to his voice, but he's also taken off guard constantly by how ridiculous his fellow student council members can be. I really like the backgrounds. They remind me of like early 2010s Shaft. They're really boldly designed. A lot of the colors they choose and the patterns that they use kind of like invite you into the character's minds, like how desperate they are to like win their game of romantic one-upmanship. I really like the show's sense of comic timing. And I also really like the finale with the fireworks.
Yep.
Thought that was really good. And I had a really fun time watching it, and you can't say that about a lot. I can't say that about a lot of shows. So my number 3.
It's interesting that Kaguya-sama and Five Force are not from Studio Shaft, but like people keep comparing the visual style to Shaft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think I said the word shaft in talking about Kaguya-sama just now. No, I just said that the backgrounds were really bold, and I like the color choice and the patterns, and that they launch you into the characters' minds. I don't think I said the word shaft. Oh wait, did I?
Yeah, I think you did.
Oh yeah, yes I did.
The
early 2010s Shaft. Yeah, I did say that. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Well, Shaft has they're not the same studio that they once were. A lot of their staff have moved to other corners of the industry. Despite that, their new Madoka spinoff just came out like yesterday, and I no spoilers, but I thought it was really good.
All right. I still haven't watched it, but I'm really looking forward to that. So, all right.
So now we're on to number 2, I think.
Yep, my number 2 is
Beastars.
The moment I said it, you know what my top spot is. So my number 2 is Sarazanmai.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
You are kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Oh,
I'm
really?
serious.
Okay, wow. All right, Sarazanmai. All right.
Sarazanmai, I just feel, especially the first episode, I just feel like all the like the show is so original. It's just like one of the kind. Like all the image it have, all the visual style, like the right sense of humor. They turn it into kappa, and they have to take the thing out of the other ass, and we actually see it. We actually see it all happen. Like the whole first 20 minutes is like completely blew my mind away. And like you said, there is like a ton of they just like a ton of detail put on the background, put on the act, everything. The characters, I feel like they serve the story well. Like each of them have their own issue. I feel like the war between the Kappa and Otto is a bit stupid. It's a bit
Yeah.
luckless thing, but like apart from that, it all come down to these 3 characters and their feeling. And I think this is one of these shows that Ikuhara actually wrapped it up the best he can. Like he couldn't do that in Penkundrum. He did a bit of that in Yurikuma. I think like out of the 3 shows, this one he know what he wanted to end. So yeah, so I like the whole package. I think like the middle thread had lost me a little, especially like the Ottawa and the cop. The cop is alright. I don't feel like they have that much impact to the story. So when it their turn, it feel a bit abruptive, but it's still a nice a nice little plot thread. So I enjoy Sarazanmai for its unique and its quirkiness, and I think it's Ikuhara as as his usual style. He just like a mad genius, and I still stand by that.
All right, yeah, Cool. Well, we both have Sarazanmai in the top 4, and we both have Chihayafuru in the top 4, in the
Right.
top 3 even. So I
That's
suppose
right.
those are our 2 favorite shows of the year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, my number 2 is Chihayafuru season 3, which we already talked about.
Wow. All right.
I will say, if yeah, you're also surprised by my number 1, huh?
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I'll say a couple things about it. I guess the music is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in one of the most recent episodes, the most recent episode, I was kind of disappointed by how Hollywood the soundtrack leaned in like establishing how powerful Harada Sensei was. But that's the thing, like for it to lean a little bit more towards those like 3-note like string kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Like just going back and forth between just a few notes on a string instrument, like to create a really ominous sound, like a Hans Zimmer sort of thing. I was disappointed because Chihayafuru usually avoids that by mixing like modern and traditional instrumentation into its orchestra. And it's usually quite beautiful, like suspenseful and evocative. So I really like the music. Inokuma is one of my favorite anime characters of the year. And even when Chihaya is being dumb or Taichi is being sidelined, because honestly, like, how Arata, I always try to pronounce his name like really fancy and it never works. Arata, he's usually in another place and we don't see much of him. We got more of him this year, I think, than we're used to. And I think Taichi, apart from his run in what was it? I can't remember the name of the tournament where he made it to the finals. Yeah. That was his big moment. But apart from that, like especially recently, I don't think we've seen enough of him. But the show's roster of characters runs really deep, Yep. So Chihaya could be stupid, or Taichi could be missing, or Arata could be, just like God knows where. It doesn't matter because there's so many other people who can step up. And I think this season is proof of that. So I really do like Chihayafuru. And it's number 2. And now.
All right. Yep. All right. Now into our top spot. My number 1 is ironically Wooper, or one of the most overrated show.
Yes, one of my most overrated, but that's just a personal thing.
Yep. Self-imposed. Beastar.
Beastars, yeah.
I like the world building in Beastar. I think the world building that's so rich that it asking a lot of questions. First is about the context of like the nature of of their own self, about the war between herbivore and carnivore, and on top of that, it is just a Greek drama romance that that will go wrong, and it just it's just refreshing for me, like the whole thing, the concept and how the story keep moving forward. And yeah, I'm just like while watching it, I'm just watch and just take it as it's come.
While watching it, I just watch. They should put that on the Blu-ray, like on the front cover.
That,
like I said,
all right. I just let it wash over me, the whole thing.
I see.
And it does a pretty good job. It leaves a great impression to me, like how everything falling together. All right, now your rant.
I don't have anything to say. It's your number 1 series. I'm not gonna shit on it. We talked about it a lot already. I suppose the one thing that I will say is,
Yep.
why would a rabbit try to go into a wolf's mouth?
Instincts. All right, we don't want to go that route again.
No, I'm just putting that out there. That's all I have to say about Beastars. Um, and I guess I'll do my number one now.
I didn't expect you put that as your number one.
Yeah. Well, it was my favorite. I had the best time watching this series this year. Or let me phrase this sentence differently. Of all the series that I watched this year, I had the best time watching this one.
Yep.
I recently wrote a post about it for the blog.
Yep.
And that show is Rilakkuma and Kaoru. It's available on Netflix, so if you're listening to this, and I know no one is listening to this, but if you are and you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. I know you have a Netflix account, you damn normie. Go and watch.
Or it's available online on torrent. Just do that.
No, we can't torrent because then we wouldn't be supporting, the industry with literal pennies.
All right.
Anyways.
Just listen to me, don't listen to Wooper.
Rilakkuma and Kaoru is my favorite anime of the year. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a Retsuko on steroids. It's just like so much better. It's everything I love about that show times 10.
Well,
it's quite a relaxing watch, but it also looks great. The lighting is so I think the lighting is like beautiful. It really highlights all the different seasons because the show does go through, like it starts in spring with the cherry blossoms, and then there's the summer festival episode, and then it kind of brushes through fall, but then there's the winter, and it comes back around. So even though the show doesn't have the most complicated story, there is the sense in like visually that we are moving through time. And it does it really nicely. I also think that the lighting really highlights the fur of the bears and of I can't even pronounce the bird's name, but like the animal fur, it highlights it in such like it makes me just want to reach through the screen and touch it. So I think the show looks really nice. I like Kaoru's character quite a bit. She's got a dead-end job. Her social life is non-existent. She's obsessed with an Amazon delivery guy, and she keeps ordering packages so that he'll keep showing up at her house. I thought that was really funny. And kind of it comments a little bit in a sideways manner about how we like are growing more and more isolated from each other in the modern era, where we use technology to talk to each other, indirectly. And she is using technology in order to summon a man to her house just to see him, I thought
they
that...
have to pay for that.
Yeah, she's paying for it all right. Like she's not even paying for sex. She's paying for a guy to show up at her house and give her something that she's no intention of using. It's just she has her relationship with her mom is interesting, and I think there's 2 episodes where they talk on the phone. There's
are they like Retsuko and her mom?
It's not that good. It's not that humorous. But there's a conversation that she has with her mom where her mom's trying to get her to come back to the country, because she's a country girl. She's living in Tokyo or wherever she is. And there's an exchange between them where she says, the company that you work at, it's so big, and she's wrong about this. This is just her perception of Kaoru's company, because she says the company that you work at is so big that everyone who you're all just ants, like you're serving a colony. And later on in the conversation, Kaoru says, "Well, I'm sorry for being such an insignificant ant." And the way, like, she doesn't say it with that much like venom in her voice, I guess, but you can tell based on the way that the conversation shapes up and the way she says that later on that it really hurt her. And I didn't expect that from a series that I just been like vegging out and watching and appreciating how cute it is. And like as the show goes on, there's more small moments like that that really make you understand how human Kaoru is. I suppose that's enough. I've said enough about it. I think that the show is great. I love the winter episode with the dance number, where Rilakkuma dances with all the snowmen. I love the horror episode where a ghost visits them as they're having like a Halloween dinner. I love everything about the show. I think it's great.
All right.
That's it.
You just said that Kaoru social life is like non-existent.
Yeah.
But she have like two bears who are adorable bears to stay with her the whole time. Like why need another friends?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good question, I suppose. But she feels as though she'd love to have a boyfriend or
A delivery guide.
Yeah. Right. And in the first episode too, like the very first plot point in the first episode is that all her friends bail on their reunion, and she's left alone.
Yep.
And that kind of sets the tone for some of the stuff that the show goes into later on. I mean, it's not as though there's a ton of social commentary or character building here. It is mostly about the atmosphere and just hanging out and watching a really good-looking show, in my opinion. Just put its characters on screen and have them do funny stuff. But I also really connected with Kaoru's character, despite, not being an office lady in Japan. And it was a lot of fun, and I think I value that more and more.
Thinking back on your career choice, man. Maybe you would make a career if you are the office lady in Japan.
Yeah, maybe I should have done that. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, that's all I got. That's my favorite.
Yeah, and he hasn't mentioned that the show is the stop motion.
Oh yeah, I forgot to. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm not really that focused on the fact that it's stop motion because I just love it so much. I'm not going to say that it feels real, but I mean the stop motion aspect of it, I think looks really creative, and I think the show pulls it off pretty well. Obviously, it's not like this isn't like a Wes Anderson stop motion film. It doesn't have that level of I suppose care put into it, or it doesn't look that gorgeous. But I think they did a great job with the resources that were provided to them. Yeah, it is stop motion. Whoops.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, yep, that is the end of our top 10. What do you think about my top 10, Wooper?
Let's see. Well, how many shows did we have that matched up? First of all, I will say that we posted predictions of each other's shows. I got 9 out of your 10 correct.
Jeez.
The only one that I missed was Kaguya-sama. I did not think that would be in your top 10.
Well, I thought that you didn't include Legion of Galactic Heroes.
You thought that I... What?
I thought that you didn't include that.
Oh, you thought that I wouldn't guess
Heroes.
it? I mean, I know that you watched the first season, and obviously the second season covering Kirkiai's death would leave a huge impact on somebody watching it for the first time. So I that was like a no-brainer for me.
All right. Let's see how many is that. How many of yours I guess it right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10.
Okay.
But not in the correct order.
Yeah, I got a lot of yours in like the ones that your top 5 I knew. Yeah. I got Sarazanmai and Beastars out of order, and I got Chihayafuru and Mob Psycho out of order, but I got your top 5 exactly. And then the stuff at the bottom, I mostly got that as well. Like I figured out where Vinland Saga was going to be. I figured out where Maidens was going to be, I think.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, how many? More like I pay way too much attention. How many series did we have overlap? We had Kaguya-sama.
We have Chihayafuru. We have Mob Psycho 102.
We have the 4.
And we have Sarazanmai. I mix. So
Yeah, and
5
mix.
out of
So
10.
five series we had shared.
Yep.
Which is
It's
which is a pretty high
interesting.
number.
Yep. It's interesting that my bottom half doesn't share any show with you. So my bottom half is
That
Vinland Saga.
that's
Yep.
that's not true, is it? Yeah, Kaguya-sama is in the bottom half for you.
Oh, Kaguya-sama. Yeah. That's true. Yep.
Yes. But we actually had Mix only one placing apart. We had Mob Psycho only one placement apart. We had Chihayafuru only one placement apart. So I think we
That's right.
agree on what a lot of the best series of the year are. Obviously not at the top, but that's fine. You can be wrong about which furry anime is the best. Obviously, the literal furry
Yeah.
anime where Rilakkuma wears a fursuit is the best.
All right. It's the bear and what is Legacies?
A wolf.
The wolf again. So
Yeah.
that's a wolf and bear war.
Rilakkuma is actually not a bear. You have to watch the show to find out what I mean by that. But
Jesus.
Rilakkuma is not a bear.
Jesus Christ! Now I'm intriguing.
There's a hook for you.
A mermaid.
A mermaid?
Yeah.
No,
Why
not that either. But no more guesses because you might stumble
Alright.
upon the truth.
All right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I mean we mostly agree about what the best shows are, and
Yeah.
I can understand
I
all of your picks, like except Maidens. Maidens
Huh.
I just thought was bad, but I didn't watch the whole thing, so my perspective is not complete.
and we have like the same opinions regarding many of shows like Mob Psycho 102. We also agree that they are more like the show is more like a visual masterpiece than storytelling.
I think everybody who
mix.
watches it is aware of like how good the visuals are.
Well, as Lelo, I think he got like different opinion than that.
Oh, does he?
Well,
I mean, I think Mob Psycho is going to be star-crossed #1 anime of the year because it's an anime that at least 3 of us are going to put on the list. I think it's going to be the only one to appear on all 4 lists.
yeah. I thought at first that Vinland Saga is gonna take the spot, but
Well, Vinland Saga is not on my list, and Amun dropped it.
yep. Oh right, he dropped it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very early
He
on.
did mention that. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean,
Alright.
honestly, I can understand why someone would do that. Like, I mean, I really don't think that show came together. And I think a lot of people's well, I won't speculate on why people appreciate it so much. That's for everybody to make up their own mind about. But that was definitely my. It's not going to be my biggest disappointment. The biggest disappointment category. That's going to go to obviously One Punch Man is on there.
I thought you were gonna put Hoshia no Shura in there.
Oh no! Yeah, well, that's a big disappointment as well. Carolyn Tuesday, big disappointment.
Yeah.
There were a lot this year. Dororo, I thought was a disappointment. I think a lot of people love that show, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, someone still put Carol and Tuesday at their #1, so
Oh,
to
well,
each their own.
obviously. I mean, the show it criticizes the politics that some people don't like, and that means it's good, right? That's good
Yeah.
anime.
Yep.
All
right. Next week we're gonna have another special postcard again.
What? 2 in a row?
Yeah, 2 in a row.
What?
Actually, 3 in a row, right? Oh no, not last week.
No.
So next week we're gonna do the 10 shows of the next winter season 2020, the first impression.
Yep, we're doing that. And we both have the list of what shows we want to do, but do we need to list them out?
Nah, it's alright.
All right.
I think they can figure it out next week.
Well, we got some of the best ones. except for the ones that I like that Mario didn't write down. Obviously, the omission of those series is a crime against animation and anime discourse. Not really.
All right. So see you guys back next week with like the whole new batch of the new season, like the
First
new
impressions.
show for the new decade.
Right. Yeah, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Yep. Happy New Year. See you soon.
Bye-bye.